Daisy Cooper is the Liberal Democrat MP for St Albans. Good morning to you, Daisy.
Good morning.
Morning. Do you think the Heathrow decision means Luton Airport should stop its expansion plans?
Well, I think the Luton Airport should stop its expansion plans anyway. But what's really important to remember is that this is Conservative government policy to expand airports. And for as long as that remains the Conservative government policy, Luton Airport and all other airports are under a duty to look at plans to expand. So this is a question for the government, and it is a question as to how the government is going to respond to this landmark case. So it is a landmark case, but it is still only the very first step. And I think what's important is the government is now going to have to say how its expansion plans for airports around the country are compatible with its climate targets, but also looking at the ramifications to other things like the 28 billion roads programme that the government's suggesting as well.
Are you surprised that the government has said that it's not going to appeal this decision?
I'm not that surprised, to be honest. I think partly because Boris Johnson himself, on a personal level, is between a rock and a hard place. I mean, this is a man, don't forget, who said that he would, go underneath, lay down underneath the, what do you call it?
Bulldozer.
Bulldozer, that's the phrase. He said he would lie down in front of bulldozers if this went ahead. And actually, I do think on a personal level, this might actually be a bit of a saving grace for him, because now he's not going to have to be found out for lying again. But this is going to have major implications for the government's whole policy of pursuing aviation expansion. And the government has repeated several times in this parliament, this in the last 10 weeks, that it is committed to aviation expansion. And so now it's being forced to revisit that policy by the courts, and I think that's the right thing.
Does it worry you that this will simply transfer the problem and transfer the problem more locally? If there is a desire from the government to have more planes and more flights, and if those flights cannot take place at Heathrow, they will start looking at the likes of Stansted, Gatwick and Luton and say, well, those airports will have to pick up the slack.
There is a risk of that. You're absolutely right, and it does worry me. One of the things that in a document that talked about what would happen if Heathrow expansion went ahead, it actually said that there would be a reduction in the demand for flights at Luton Airport based on the current levels of usage. So there is a danger that expansion at Luton Airport could still be a preferred option of the government. As far as I'm concerned as a Liberal Democrat, I think that airport expansion in the vast majority of cases across the country are not compatible with our climate change commitments. And here, in this local region, Hertfordshire County Council has unanimously backed a motion opposing expansion at Luton Airport, thanks to a motion put forward by two Liberal Democrat county councillors. So there is a huge amount of opposition to expansion at Luton Airport, not just because of the emissions and the impact on our carbon footprint, the fact it's bad for the climate, but also because of the noise that the flights are creating as well. And you heard from Andrew Lambourne from Laddercan, there are lots of different groups, including in St Albans, that have been fighting the noise pollution that comes with the aeroplanes as well.
But people can't have it both ways, can they? Lots and lots of people listening to this programme will thoroughly enjoy the fact that it is so easy and so affordable now to jet off here, there and everywhere. And people who fancy a weekend in Spain or whatever it may be may love the fact that they can pop up to Luton. For less than £100 for the flights, they can go over to Spain and then come back again. And they like the convenience of it. Surely it is going to affect people who enjoy the low-cost flying.
Well, let's be clear about this. 70% of these short flights are taken by just 15% of the population. And actually, that's why Liberal Democrats have been proposing for a long time that we should have a frequent flyer tax to raise money from those short flights in order to tackle climate change, as an initial first move. But I do think attitudes are changing. Certainly 5 years ago, I didn't really think twice about, getting on a plane and having a short holiday on a short distance flight, but certainly my behaviour has changed, and I've taken, I think, only one in the last 18 months or so. And so I do think that attitudes are changing, and we are going to have to rely on the public to change their behaviour as well. But overall, I think that people are very, very scared about the climate emergency. I think the public knows, particularly here in St Albans and across Hertfordshire, that we have just 10 years left to stop irreversible damage to our planet. And I think that if people are told they have to pay a little bit more for their shorter flights and overall they have to fly a lot less, if not at all, then I think many people will get on board with that idea. What we need is a government that is serious about tackling climate change and investing in alternative forms of public transport that are comfortable, reliable and affordable. And we're still a long way from that.
OK, good to talk to you, Daisy. Thank you for your time. Daisy Cooper is the Liberal Democrat MP for St Albans.